Welcome to the 30th Film Festival Cottbus. My name is Bernd. I'm the program director of the Film Festival Cottbus, and I have the pleasure and honor to present the Q&A of a film which is in our Polski Horizonti program, The Adventures of a Mathematician, a German-Polish co-production, which used to have its European premiere in Cottbus. Now, since we have to postpone the festival due to the pandemic, the European premiere was in Wrocław before, and we have the German premiere. Please, first, let me introduce the team. Let me introduce the director who's sitting here in Cottbus. Thor Klein, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you much for inviting the film. I'm really happy to be here, even under these circumstances. Yeah, let me introduce to you my two wonderful actors, Fabian Kuciecki and Philippe Tłokinski. Fabian, who played John von Neumann, and Philippe, who played Stan Ulam. I remember that I met both of them actually in the same casting. Fabian was also reading for Stan, and in this moment, I could really see into his soul, and I knew that I'm sitting actually in front of John von Neumann, which I couldn't tell him at that very moment. And then later on, Philippe was the last one coming to the casting. He was shooting another film. But he just blew me away with his nonchalance, his charm, and his obsession, actually, which reminded me of the real Stan Ulam. And also, I'm really happy that my beloved producer Lena is here. Lena was literally there since I first expressed the idea of making this film until the last day of mixing, and also today we're sitting here.
Thank you for the introduction. Let's talk later about the film, and I will introduce the two other guests after a short surprise. So please, Fabian, start with the teaser.
Liebe Lena Vurma, lieber Thorsten Klein, ganz herzlichen Glückwunsch. Ich freue mich ganz besonders, euch heute für den Film The Adventures of a Mathematician, den Cottbus ins Kinopreis, der vom Medienboard für besondere Filme gestiftet ist, zu überreichen. Das sind 10.000 €. Ihr habt mit dem Film die magische Formel gefunden. Abenteuer, wahre Geschichte, ergreifend die Reise des Helden. Was kann schöner sein? Jetzt können wir nur noch wieder hoffen, dass die Kinos bald aufmachen. Dafür toi 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 und ganz viel Freude mit dem Preis im Kino.
And wow. Here it is. So this was of course not Fabian Schüler, but Thorsten Klein, the head of Medienboard Berlin-Brandenburg. And this is an award for the film, the Cottbus Kino Award. It's a support for the distribution of the film. And I'm happy to introduce the distributor, the German distributor, Christoph Ott, Filmwelt. Welcome also in Cottbus. And Brigitta Manthey, who is a representative of the Medienboard Berlin-Brandenburg, and they're also for the German-Polish co-production fonds. Christoph, it's not easy this times for distributors, but I hope the film will make its career in distribution and in German cinemas. So when are you supposed to start with the release, and what is your strategy to distribute the film, to bring it to the audience?
Hello, good evening. Yeah, we're very happy that the film is playing digitally in Cottbus. We expect the cinemas be open probably in March in Germany, maybe February, but I don't think so, but let's say in March. The good thing is that we are all now used to work always on the same film for a month, because we repaired the films several times, and every time we wanted to release a film, the cinemas were closed down. So we hopefully we get for each re-release of a premiere of a film even better. I think we will do it next year when we know the cinemas are open and when we have a chance at least to play 4 to 6 weeks the trailer into the cinemas, because no one sees a trailer right now. And we all don't know which capacity. You should know, it's for the producers and also for us and for the distributors, a problem if we have 15, 20 tickets and the cinema is sold out. You can't make numbers, you can't get the audience to see the film. You get your 2 weeks and then you're out. So it's I think there's too much crying right now regarding all our industry. I think I've been today very lucky to see 2 films in a movie theater in my own, just for me, because new films I wanted to see. So it was great to be back, and I think the audience will be extremely happy in March, April, when cinema is back and the cinemas are ready and they are safe. They are great films. Many of the films will be released in the second half or in the winter. So there is also space, and we're looking forward with Thor and Lena to work on the campaign and on the press, and then to make the film a successful release in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So I would say it's end of March, April, depends on the political situation.
Okay, thanks.
We'll do it better than our politics.
Thank you very much, and thank you for taking the risk, also the challenge to bring a Polish-German co-production to cinema. The production was supported by the German-Polish Film Fund, the development as well as the production, as far as I know. It's a film which mixes author's film's approach and audience appeal, I would say, both by the story and by how it's done. The artistic style also. Brigitta, was there long discussions to support it, or was it clear at the very first moment we will support this project?
Well, yes, it's great to be here in Cottbus with you and the film, I must say, and the distributor, and to recall that there were several moments of decision. As you said, it was not only once that we decided for the project, for the film eventually in the German Polish Film Fund, but also regular funding was added to it. And it occurred to us to be a masterpiece of upcoming producer, I should say Lena then, but still, I mean, very professional, upcoming, a masterpiece of financing for one, but also a great story, I should say. It fitted perfectly into the idea of the Film Fund, which is basically fostering young talent between Poland and producers, basically between Poland and Germany, but even more with other countries. And Joanna, your co-producer, Lena, is not here at this moment, but I think you were a perfect team. I could tell anytime I met you at different places. So when we had funded, we had never thought about the possibility. Usually we say there must be an audience in Poland and there must be an audience in Germany for a film that is funded by this fund. Even better if it is a European audience. But what really happened is what we did not dare to think, even to reach out to a US audience. And this is what Adventures of a Mathematician really did. It was premiering at Palm Springs. I mean, that's something we could not have imagined. So there was pretty clear, as far as I also have to recall all the colleagues that were part of the decision-making process, that this was not really a second thought to fund or to not fund. This was quite, it was developing, sure, it had to improve over the process of developing. We funded in development and then in production. So there was also some progress nicely to follow. So this is surely another milestone of the projects we have funded. This has been 60 projects by now, and this film is just at the beginning of the career. There were many festivals already. Or awards. I couldn't name them at this point, but it has been really, truly rewarding to invest in this film. And it's nice to see it to continue into. I'm looking forward to the premiere then in the cinema.
Well, how was it for you when you picked up or discovered the story? So it's a very challenging story. It's about, just to explain to the audience who is at the moment not able to watch the film, it's a story about a Polish scientist who took part in the so-called Manhattan-Project, a US-American project to develop the H-bomb. And the film is also about his moral doubts. On the other hand, he feels the need to develop the H-bomb against dictatorships, against Hitler and against Stalin later. On the other hand, he knows that there's a huge killing potential of this bomb. So how did you find this story? And when did you decide to make a film about it?
Well, I was reading about them for the first time when I was about 13 or 14 years old, and I found the book in the library in my hometown. And since then, it always stuck with me. And in film school, I kept reading about it. And in film school, I came across this Stan's book, essentially, Adventures of a Mathematician. And it had this really beautiful friendship at its core between Stan and Johnny. And I immediately saw that this could be a very interesting way into this subject, which is, also, as you said, there are huge moral questions involved, but it is also it's a story about essentially about an intellectual friendship, and that was a little bit what drew me into it, and then I started to do the research and followed Stan literally from his hometown through the US, through the East Coast, through New Mexico, and I met all these time witnesses, all these mathematicians that were there, that are in their late 80s, early 90s at that time when I did the research, and it started to grow, and I realized that this is that there was so much more to it than I could see in the first place. For example, the whole issue, when you look at it from the outside, you underestimate. At least I did for a long time, and maybe I was too young to see it. I underestimated also the aspect that they were Jewish, and the fact what it did to them, and the fact that they were dealing with this trauma on one hand. On the other hand, they had to find a way to cope with it, and because they lost their family, so they could only rely on these bonds between them, which made it even more intense, because these bonds also drew them to Los Alamos and to this place and to the work. So it was not only about an intellectual question of a moral question of building this bomb, it was also simply staying with your family, with your friends, because that's all that was left, essentially. And so I discovered more and more layers, and I tried not to, because usually what you do these days when you tell not to sometimes people try to simplify things, in order to say, the audience need to understand this in 3 acts, and they have to know this and to understand what he learned. And of course, this is important, but also the complexity is what makes it intriguing in the first place. And I think you can challenge the audience without, steering it away from the topic. And that was a little bit the goal that I had in mind, telling it that way.
So and Stan and Johnny are here also as Philippe and Fabian. Philippe Tłokinski is Stan Ulam in the film, and Fabian Kozielski is John von Neumann. John von Neumann was a kind of mentor in real life, as I understood the biography. So he was one who convinced Stan to come to America to teach there first, and also convinced him to take part in the Manhattan Project. How did you both get into your roles? Did you how long did you need to prepare for the roles? Maybe starting with Philippe.
I was wondering if we should not, because of time, starting with Fabian, because he mentioned before that. So I'm going to just ask Fabian if he wants to start or not.
Yeah, I think you can begin.
Okay, I can begin. Well, first of all, what Thor mentioned before all those layers in the scenario. It's something that we discovered during the process of rehearsal that we had in London with Giles Foreman. And of course, we realized that the script is gorgeous, that the story is amazing, that the character is fascinating, and the story behind it with this bomb and those moral issues that are standing behind the question of the bomb. Every script needs an enemy, and the bomb is the perfect enemy. And we don't see very cleverly, we don't see it on screen even. Even that is a very nice touch in this script. But we really realized during the process of creating those characters that this movie is about friendship, and Fabian was essential in this process, because many times in every single project you realize that your partner is creating your character too. So yeah, we just met. We read it a lot, the script with Giles Foreman. He opened our eyes on the subject of the movie. He's a very good acting coach, a person that is able to make you realize that you understood only a little small part of this great scenario, that the scenario is even better than what you imagined. So yeah, basically it was this, and I was very happy to work with Fabian. It was absolutely a pleasure. I mean, he knows it, but saying it publicly, it's even more meaningful. So thank you, Fabian, for this
Thank you, Philippe. Yeah, thank you. I agree with Philippe, of course, and I think this movie and rehearsals and entire project was very close to me because of the Jewish thing, and I think that we found on the set some we knew each other more like we are in the real life, and I think it built our relationships in our characters, because sometimes we fight it with Philippe, and sometimes we loved with Philippe, and
what do you mean by we loved? We hugged a lot. We make
yeah, so we had many different, because we don't have long time to make this project, so we had to work very fast, and I think it helped us to make our characters, and I think it was very important for this project.
I think one thing that I would just clarify, we give ourselves straight from the beginning, because of lack of time, we give ourselves full trust in order to say it when we disagree, to fight openly when we are not agreeing with each other, and to suddenly say, okay, I'm sorry, I was wrong, and to hug each other. And I feel that it was usually on projects you have the personal life and the private life, and we it's the first project where I didn't find this straight line separating those two aspects of our lives very clear. I mean, it was mixed. We were a true team and true friends on set. I think that's what Fabian wanted to say when he said that we made love.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Philippe.
What I would add to it is that these people, Stan and Johnny, were a very special kind of they had a special kind of man, a generation essentially, because they grew up between the wars, and they were educated in a very humanistic way. They were obviously highly intelligent, but also they had a certain elegance to them and a certain way of speaking, a certain kind of behavior. And this was something that was essentially to get and that what I also tried to I knew both of them had the potential to get this and do this. And this is what, when they were referring to the preparation, that's what they mean. We tried really to find this kind of special way of moving and talking, and the best example are the jokes. It's a very, in a way, a very old-fashioned thing to tell jokes, even though in some parts of Eastern Europe you still do this to today. But back then the jokes were a very, very personal thing, a very exchange of camaraderie, essentially. And to get them in a way that they really, that this sounds believable, that was the major challenge from the acting point of view, to find this kind of, and that's what they did greatly.
So before you told it, it's a film about family bonds, about bonds between people, but I have also the feeling it's also a film about competition sometimes, competition between scientists, and huge suspense, personal suspense between those people. Stan Ulam also, at a certain point, he got ill. There was his personal challenges were a bit too much for him. We see him also in hospital. So how did you create this situation between the actors, between them and the other actors also, Mr. Teller, for instance?
You mean the aspect of in regards to the aspect of competition?
Yes.
I did it mostly to make them aware of the circumstances they were in, and also when you have someone like Edward Teller, who was essentially one of the people who gave birth to the military-industrial complex. Essentially, he was today you would say he's a hardliner. One of these people they call the Falcons, essentially, and that was, but. Even he was, this character was very close to me, because deep down, even though he's viewed as this person who took it to the extreme when it came to developing thinking of an even bigger bomb, when they not even had mastered the atomic bomb yet. It was this very existential question, this bond that on one hand connected them, but on the other hand also, because it's an intellectual competition, as you said, and they were raised and grew up to thrive for excellence, all of them. They were all in a way overachievers, and they of course when they would meet, it was also about showing the others what you can do with your own mind and succeeding in that. And this is something that we could use and create an ensemble out of it, essentially, to give every one of them had different colors in that. But this was an essential part. That's true. That there was this competition of ideas, of grand ideas. You know, this was also why this was a golden generation, because, and it's what, in my opinion, after my research, it's also what we are lacking today a little bit. It's this grand ideas that they had and that they were pursuing, which we these days, it's science is. If we don't talk about tech, if we talk about all other kinds of science, it's more about, you know, watching your own little field, your own little square, and become an expert on this square, but not thinking of the broad structure of things. And these people had this spirit of challenging everything and thinking big. And questioning everything. That this is also what's appealing about them.
So you had also a question to Lena. The production took it's a Polish, German, British production. One of the locations you were shooting was built up in Cottbus. So Los Alamos was built up at or maybe you can tell by yourself. So how were your Cottbus experiences when you shot the film?
Yes, so thank you again for hosting us here in Cottbus, and of course we're super thrilled and honored to receive this award, to get the chance to get some support for releasing the film in German cinemas. This is, I think, more than ever tougher, but also great that we have someone like you in Cottbus and Medienboard who supported us from the beginning and until now. So yeah, it's really amazing. And about the Cottbus question, yes, actually, to keep everything under control, we shot as much as possible in Berlin-Brandenburg. And we found this amazing location near Cottbus. It's a small airport in Drewitz, and it just closed, I think, last year. But when we were shooting there, it was still working, functioning with little small planes. And we actually built there Los Alamos, where the Manhattan-Projekt were. So our production design went there and had to rebuild the whole army base basically and pretend to be New Mexico. And also there was an old abandoned museum on the site, which helped us to actually not shoot everything in a studio, which we did later in Berlin. But we also got the chance to actually shoot interiors on the airport and pretend to be on the East Coast in the US as well. So this was really an amazing location to find. And actually we looked at many locations all around Berlin-Brandenburg, and Drewitz near Cottbus was the one. And yes, it didn't let us down. Even when we showed it in the US, they didn't notice that we are actually not in the US, just pretending to be there. So it was really great to have a location like this, and of course a team like this who could do it from the production design over the costume and the camera and everybody involved.
Yeah, and the a little ironic detail about it is that it was a former Russian airfield. So we're building this, one of the most iconic American landscapes and one of the most secretive American projects on a former Russian base, which was kind of funny.
So did you have how many shooting days did you have in Los Alamos / Cottbus, and was it one period? So maybe a question also to Philippe and Fabian. So as if you are there for 1 week or 10 days, it's very compressed, and I think at a certain time you develop the feelings that you're really in Los Alamos.
Just maybe about the shooting days. So overall shooting days of the whole production were 29 days. And I think we shot in Cottbus, Drewitz almost 2 weeks. So quite a lot.
Yes.
And what was the question for the actors again?
For the actors, just in Germany, we will also say Lagerkoller. So you're in a certain location with the same people for 2 weeks, like those guys have been during the Manhattan-Projekt for years, months and years. So I think it's a quite authentic feeling.
Oh, it's probably there are probably even more parallels to make between what those scientists could have felt during this part of their story and what we were experiencing during the shooting. We mentioned friendship before. I think that the part of being always together as a group, and of course there is the fact that we are in a foreign country. Well, Germany is not so foreign as for European people going to USA suddenly, but yeah, I mean, many parallels to make, obviously.
Yeah, I believe that everything in Cottbus was in Drewitz was like in Los Alamos when I came to the set. So for me, it was a brilliant job of our scenographer and costume designer, and everything was really nice. And I believe that I'm there, and it helps me to build my character.
So a question for Christoph also. So when did you decide to jump in the project? When did you decide to distribute the film, and what was the main reason? Do you think it will be simple to find an audience or difficult?
First, not everybody knows that I know Lena. I think I think now 8 or 10 years we know each other.
9 years, yeah.
Okay, 9 in the middle. And later came Thor to the band or to the team. We distributed the first project. It was a 3D movie, and it was released together with our distribution partner, Warner Brothers. Lena, when was it? 6 years ago? 5?
2013.
Okay, you always know it better than the years. And I know I trust Lena also in another way, that she is going to the festivals and the markets and looks for projects which we can distribute in Germany. I joined my own company last year because my other partner, NFP, struggled, and therefore we took the film from NFP and wanted to release it. Palm Springs was in January, so the idea was, we hoped for this other festival, which is near Berlin. Sorry for Cottbus, we tried last year to get a festival as well. We couldn't wait until November. So we wanted to release it in April, May last year. As the lockdown came, we do it this year. I've been to Palm Springs several times, and I know the film fitted perfectly to the audience there. And the story about the H-bomb was something which I thought is a very special one, a very interesting one, also for the German audience, also for school programs. And this was one of the reasons for us to jump in and to distribute the film. And we are working right now to get the funders on board. Unfortunately, one of the biggest funders in Germany, our Minister for Culture, just after they helped the film to be produced, they didn't help the film for distribution. So we have to be flexible and creative in that way, but we will find a solution, Lena and myself. I believe that the story, special next year when we have also elections in Germany, very important elections, because it's a complete getting a new team. Politics is right now, the peace is always one of the big issues. And you just learned in these days how the European situation was keeping us nervous. So I think that if we find and get the way with a good trailer, and the film has a good trailer, and good German press, we're quite confident to get this film to a nice number of cinemas. I think that at the moment, I think the people, as I said before, the audience is hungry to see films, new films, not always. And I saw today the difference again after watching on television or on stream. Now in a cinema, yes, I was happy after 2 months to rediscover this. It was amazing, and I think everybody is nuts to go back to the big screen.
Absolutely, I agree. Especially when you discover so many layers. For me, it was the experience with Adventures of a Mathematician. When I saw it, during the next day, I discovered more and more layers, and then I got so interested in reading the story. So I think that's the advantage of those films, that at least it has a sustainable effect. So Fabian and Philippe, what chances are for the film at the Polish market? Do you know if there's a distributor, or how would you?
I'm afraid Lena would know more about this subject than us. We are only tools to tell stories. That's my definition of acting.
So unfortunately, Joanna Szymanska from Ship's Boy, my Polish co-producer, can't be here today because she's actually on a night shoot. So she's busy, which is great, of course, during these special times. No, the great thing is that there is going to be very soon an amazing announcement coming out of Poland, what happens to the film next year in Poland. At the same time, besides being supported and released by Christoph in Germany, German-speaking territories, we are also very happy that there are even a lot of key territories all around the world that has been sold. Just to name a few, besides Poland and Germany, we also sold the film to France, and there will be a theatrical release in France by a very well-known distributor called Rezo. Also China and Russia, which is interesting because kind of the story and atomic powers play, of course, a role in this whole thing. So also Russia and China bought the film. And most recently, which was the big news, and Brigitta already teased it a little bit, we actually sold the film, well, our international sales, indie sales, sold the film to the US. So Samuel Goldwyn is going to release the film theatrically next year as well. So yeah, it has a great momentum. And as Bernd said, the film has many layers. So if you see it today or tomorrow, because I just heard that we will screen it tomorrow as well, you can watch it again in the cinema and you will discover new things of the film.
Also, I mean, I also would like to say thank you for the prize, because I'm really overwhelmed that also that we won a big distribution grant in the US recently, and to see that all over the world there are people who think that this film should be seen in cinemas and not just me, is really a really great feeling. So I thank you very much for giving us this prize.
Yeah, it's absolutely deserves it. So there's also so we spoke about the potential on the markets. I think it's also potential in festivals, but also in specific festivals. So Fabian mentioned the Jewish angle, and I read that it was premiered also at the Toronto Jewish Film Festival, as far as I'm right. So how can you maybe explore more on the Jewish angle of the film? Maybe Fabian or Thor?
You mean topic-wise or?
Topic-wise, yeah, or biography-wise.
Sure, of course. I mean, should you want to start, Fabian, or should I go for it first? Or
no, of course you.
All right.
You're the director. I mean,
yeah.
As I mentioned, at its core, there is this really almost haunting aspect of it. That, so let me start this way. There is this image of Jewish scientists lost in the desert, which is always was an image that I had in mind from the beginning, because it's also a very biblical image, of course, and it fitted these people in Los Alamos at these times. And at the same time, you have these people who just came out of, or who just had to learn about the Holocaust. And at the same time, they also had to realize that they developed a weapon that could kill instantly, thousands of people, which is something. So in a way, their trauma led them also put them in a position where they were then suddenly responsible for creating such a weapon. And this is a question. This is a situation that is, I think that for them, because they were Jewish, was especially traumatic, because of what came to. Also, when you speak about Stan's breakdown, which happens after he learns that his sister died, I wanted to culminate this at this point in the film. This was also the reason why I saw always the this issue that Stan thinks about, the pressure issue of the bomb, is in a way a metaphor for what's going on inside him, and that you could feel this build up within him through the course of the film. And it culminated in this point where he, on one hand, had to acknowledge that they created a demonic weapon, and to learn that essentially the Holocaust had happened. This was the singularity, so to say, of the film, and that is where also where the Jewish topic comes in from the point of the filmmaker.
For me, the Jewish thing is very important because I have Jewish roots, and I'm very interested in Jewish culture. So the story about Jewish scientists who are making a weapon is during the war is really interesting, and like Thor said, that it was a very difficult situation, that you are a victim of sick ideology, and the other hand, you are making a weapon who kill many people. So it's very hard, and I think we should ask. For me, it was very important to make a question what I'm playing now, and I think it was the core of my character. I mean, of course, I'm speaking only about my character and Johnny von Neumann. So yes, it was very, very close to my heart, really, the story and the Jewish thing, because of my roots.
Okay, and Philippe, how was it for you to identify with the character? So when did you decide I want to have this role? I want to play this role.
Well, directly after the casting, as Thor mentioned, I was shooting for another movie. I mentioned at the beginning, I said, sorry, I'm shooting, I can't be there. But they insisted, and I had 3 days. So I said, okay, but I'm gonna travel, but I'm telling you, I'm not gonna know my lines. I'm gonna be reading. And they said, no worries, we are fine with this. So of course I knew the scene, but you know how it is. You read, you give the lines. So it's reading and playing, something between. And lucky enough, I had a great partner, because Giles Foreman was giving me the lines, and it was our future acting coach. And as I mentioned before with Fabian, the partner is essential, because he's giving you the impulses, and you're throwing back the impulses, and the scene was played, and I felt great without knowing much about the subject back then. But I felt that the team was great, and I felt that the team was directly buying me. So I remember getting out with this precise cup outside of the casting, and they finished the casting. They were getting out, and it was their cup from the room, the studio that was organizing the casting. And they said, oh, so come with drink some wine, we have a flight, so we invite you. And I said, well, but I have the cup, I have to, no, don't keep it, come with us. So at this precise moment, I realized that I might have done a good job, and they might have chosen me for the part. And well, I think that it was pretty fast. So yeah, I mean, it was as in love, you know. And I'm looking at Thor now and at Lena. It was like a love story. You see someone and you know that's the one. Well, there are two of them, but well, but you're making a good, you know, you're like one. Can't imagine one of you without the other.
Well said.
So, you know, to answer your question, at this moment, it was more about the team, about the atmosphere, about the you know, the feeling of, I think it might be a good project, you know. And then I realized that I had the opportunity to read a great script, and I said, damn, how lucky am I? And then I realized that I'm going to work with Giles Forman, and it blew my mind. And then I realized that I going to be playing with Fabian and with Mateusz. It's important to speak about him too. Więcławek, my little brother. So Polish team, great. Yeah, most of the time, when the actors answer to those questions, they say, oh, the script was very interesting. But most of the time, when they go to the casting, they know nothing about the script at this precise moment. They got the offer, then they read, and then they realize. But there are things that we don't speak very often about. It's the people, the team, and the atmosphere that is on set, and being friend with. I mean, building a friendly relationship with people you work with. It's a great bonus. So thank you, Thor, and thank you, Lena, again for this great adventure. Because adventure of a mathematician.
Yeah, many love stories today. Lena, I think also you formed a very good team with your Polish co-producer, with Joanna Szymanska. So was it your first co-production you did together, or did you already produce some other stuff with each other? And will you continue to work together?
So no, actually we haven't worked together, Joanna and I, before, but we've met 2015 at EAVE, the producers workshop. We were in the same year, and when Thor and I started to work on Adventures of a Mathematician, I basically knew, okay, we need a Polish partner, and I approached Joanna and other Polish producers, but with her, as Philip said, it kind of clicked from the beginning, and I knew this is going to be some other love story. And I decided to go with her, even though there were other producers with maybe more experience. But then with her, I just knew she understands the vision of the film. She really knows also about the topic. She knew before about Stanisław, Ulam, and everybody around it in this cosmos. So it was great to find a partner who actually, content-wise, but also from the production side, really knows what she's doing and to share this vision. So I would love to work with Joanna again. She's pretty busy with other projects, and Thor and I, we are developing a new project that is in financing now, which kind of goes with us to Mexico. So to find kind of a Polish part is a bit difficult, but I'm sure there will be new collaborations, and what stays on for sure is like the trust we built through now these 5 years of working together. And we even like just talk about other projects and problems, because usually as a producer, you don't dare to share problems with other producers. You just kind of say, yeah, everything is great. Which most of the case is not true. So as a producer, you usually just solve a lot of problems and getting better and better at it. And with Joanna, it's just a great collaboration, because we can actually talk about problems, but also solve them together. So I'm very thankful that I found her through EAVE as well.
I'm very happy about it, and I'm also very happy about the chance to have another German-Polish co-production. As the Film Festival Cottbus, one of the aims was also to strengthen the relationship between Germany and Eastern Europe, especially Poland, which is very close to Cottbus. And so that's also thanks to the Polish-German Film Fund, how it's called now. It was first the development fund, then the co-production fund, now it's Film Fund. So Brigitta, how many projects does the fund support each year? So and how would you evaluate the role of the German-Polish Film Fund at the moment?
Well, as I said, the fund is 15 years on by now, and almost, and we have funded 60 projects. That is to say that sometimes a project had been funded twice, once in development and once in production. And as it used to be in the beginning that we shared let's say, okay, that we share both countries a common history. And it was when we started out in 2006. By the way, we started out in 2002 in Cottbus. I should mention that, with a focus country at connecting Cottbus, the industry platform of Cottbus. Poland. Poland was the focus country. And then it took some time to get Poland into the European Union. This was 2004. Then came 2005, and again we were in the soft chairs of the Lindner Hotel with our Polish colleagues. And it was then really that the initiative, or the initial round, came together with the three funds of the Polish Film Institute, which then had been established and could be a partner to our fund and the Mitteldeutsche Medienfonds, the MDM. Now, so in the beginning, it was really, a very spontaneous creativity when the producers joined creativity and to make their project. And then it used to be a little bit oriented towards the past still, because we shared history. And lots of documentaries I do recall. So now we have, well, the Polish filmmakers are great filmmakers, we know that. And there have been quite a number of famous, almost famous and famous directors. Only to say recently, we have Małgorzata Smumowska with her film Never Gonna Snow Again in Venice. And she was ready to, or she was nominated for the Golden Lion. And we have some other really prominent, I mean, there was Agnieszka Holland, there was Robert Schwenke, there was Thomas Wasilewski, and now there's also Thor Klein. There is Kasia Adamik, Julia von Heinz, most recently. And so it's a smaller fund with little money, and it's not a huge bulk of projects really, but the ones that run through it and then get their financing at other places, because it also is meant to be a little money for the beginning, but to give the project some excellency to carry on with collecting money from other funds. It is has developed quite nicely, let's say over the last 5 years or 7 years, because it takes some time to get it running. And the stories are much more political by now. It's amazing. They have become very, very up to the present. And they don't deal between the two countries only, but go out in the world and check for the states of minds and also politics. So I guess it's also in terms of that there's an offspring of the German-Polish roundtables, which are established between, again, Cottbus and Film Festival Warsaw. So there's a network, a beautiful network that has built. And then there is, the projects are getting much more qualified, and they are out in the world. They are at the Berlinale in Venice and San Sebastian. There's an Oscar nomination, there's German and European Film Awards. So it's really something which we could not have seen in the beginning. So, well, and it originated, as I said, Lindner Hotel.
Lindner Hotel. So whoever knows Lindner Hotel. So unfortunately, I was there last night. It is very sad to be there at the moment, and I hope we can meet again there
in the
next year again. It's a sports spot, exactly. And it's already 9:02. So I want to address also a few words to it was the initial plan to be on a big stage and say thank you to Brigitta also, because Brigitta is about to leave Medienboard Berlin-Brandenburg next February. And I would like to thank you so much for all the support and the cooperation, what you did for Eastern European cinema and East Central European cinema, for the Film Fund, and also for the Film Festival Cottbus. So thank you very much for exchanging ideas, for your wonderful work, by content, by supporting filmmakers, film producers, and hope to continue cooperating with you in the one or other field during the next years. So,
thank you, Ben. My pleasure. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it so much.
So I will give you the flowers personally when it will be possible to meet again, and it will be a bit, it will be not so cold outside. Ice flowers, maybe.
And
oh, great! So I have.
That's for you. 30 years Cottbus.
30 years.
Congratulations,
yeah.
and to all of you for your wonderful work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so also for the audience, so the film Adventures of a Mathematician will be streamed at the Cottbus, through the Cottbus website until tomorrow midnight. And Lena Vurma will be guest of another panel on the Drehort Brandenburg, which is supposed to be held at Sunday at 2, I think. So I forgot the exact time. I think it's running Sunday at 2, moderated by Knut Elstermann. It's about filming in Brandenburg. And yeah, thank you for coming to Cottbus, and hope to see you in person sometimes next year, I suppose. And I'm quite optimistic. And, good luck for the cinema release, of course.
Thank you, and thanks again for the great prize, really.
Yes, let's all meet again for the German premiere in the cinema next year.
Oh yeah,
absolutely, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.